on the web at theloaclub.com. This Hangout on Air presents our theme for the week. If you're live with us on this Hangout, you're welcome to join us on our conference line for our continued discussion after the Hangout. Please dial in using the number on your screen. We'd love to hear your questions and comments. Our discussion of the theme for the week also continues on our open call each week on alternating Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you're watching the recorded video, we'll be adding pop-up links with more information about us and our extended audio recording. Robin will be bringing through Tara for us today, so we welcome Robin and Tara.
Welcome. We're going to make three seemingly outlandish but essentially true statements. Whether you as an individual vote or not, you are the only one who determines the result of an election. When you find something that's lost, you're not finding it, you're recreating it. And three, what you know right now about quantum physics is all there is to know about quantum physics. If you understand these statements, then you truly understand law of attraction. Is it important to understand that at this fundamental level? Well, not necessarily. But many of your questions cannot be adequately answered unless we get to a common basis of understanding. So for many of you, it's useful to know. It gives you the confidence to stay the course, to persevere with all these processes we suggest as ways of changing your world. So let's spend some time here today unraveling this a little. This week, this one came across these words from Abraham back in 2010. That's how the scientists discover new science. They start out with a hypothesis, an idea, and then others believe enough in the idea that they make it true. Now, he spent 18 years attending the seminars of Abraham-Hicks and listening daily to the recorded audio from those seminars. But some concepts, like this Abraham idea that scientists don't discover things, they create things, still made no sense. So let's see if we can make sense of that as we explore the absolute nature of everything. We'll be talking about science and quantum physics, law of attraction. We'll also be talking about perspectives, because being clear on the perspective from which the question is being asked or being answered is key to making sense of the answer. For example, we could say, we are here in response to your asking. So who is asking? Is it a collective asking from all of you who are hearing these words now or will be hearing them? In one sense, yes. But in an even more fundamental sense, it is the individuated consciousness that is you. So let's get clear on the difference between the perspective of the collective you and the individual you, because that distinction is key to understanding all of this. By law of attraction, what you believe becomes. The promise is that you can be absolutely be, do, or have anything, and therefore, for example, you can choose to have the world be any way you want it to be. And if you can, so can all those other people who may want the world to be very different. Clearly, if you live in a shared one world, the law of attraction makes no sense at all. But you do not live in a shared one world. You live in your world, unique to you, created moment by moment from your conscious and subconscious tapestry of chosen beliefs and expectations. All questions and all answers, therefore, are only valid from an individual you perspective. So why do we talk about a world as if it's out there being experienced by a collective you? Consider how we started out here with the words, "This one came across this week." Are we not talking about a world and a past with an Abraham and an Esther Hicks in it? Yes, and in doing so, we're making the assumption that since you are matching up with us here in this one's version of reality, you'll be experiencing a world that generally matches his. Is that a valid assumption? Not always. And you'll sometimes hear us use disclaimers like, in this one's world, yours may be similar, and so on. Just remember, these are examples only. Your mileage may vary. So now let's revisit those Abraham words. That's how the scientists discover new science. They start out with a hypothesis, an idea, and then others believe enough in the idea that they make it true. Clearly, they are talking from a collective you perspective. Let's rethink this from an individual you perspective. If you're one of those scientists, then let's say that individual you makes a hypothesis. Then you set about proving it. If you choose to expect you will succeed, you will, which means your world will line up with that, which means that others in your world, the collective you, will agree with you. Now let's look at it from the individual you perspective that you are not one of those scientists. What's happening in your world? Firstly, if your expectations do not include the possibility of scientists finding out new things in this area, you will not hear of these ideas. If you do hear these ideas, then you may choose to believe or not believe what you hear, and your world would line up accordingly. What you are doing is filling in some detail between the expectation boundaries you have already set. Nothing exists in your world until you know it exists or possibly exists. What you know and expect creates everything you experience. So what about quantum physics, law of attraction? You may have never heard of quantum physics, and if so, it will not exist in your world. You may have heard of it, but not know much about it. In that case, it will not be significant for you. You may have studied it and chosen to believe certain things about it, and so it will be more significant for you. Just understand that there is no such thing as a quantum physics that exists somehow in some objective external reality. There are only subjective realities, and in your subjective reality, nothing exists beyond the facts as you know them. And until you attract new information and make a new choice, things stay that way. In this one's world, yours may be similar, there are those who set out to show how quantum physics proves law of attraction. Well, in that mythical one world, as we described, there can be no law of attraction. And in your world unique to you, the only quantum physics that exists is there because, by law of attraction, you have created it. Science can be fun, but it's always an after-the-event process of matching up an explanation with what you've already created. So quantum physics cannot prove anything. But looking at it did open some doors for this one. In the early days of this community, we suggested he read up on it, and he did. It was not the details of the physics that was significant, But the exercise got him thinking about two powerful concepts, and that led to a whole new level of understanding. There was the concept of potential multiple versions of reality, a very unscientific idea which has interestingly gained significant acceptance in the scientific community. And there was the observer effect, that the intentions of the observer, a consciousness, could affect the results. What this led him to was that the essential you is a consciousness, and that every time you make a new choice, you step into a new version of you inside a new matching context. Our response was, bingo. By way of contrast, the following is a blog post this one came across from Kyra, the Abraham-Hicks skeptic, about that Abraham quote. If you make the assumption, as most would, and Kyra has, that there's one world, and you take that illusion of solidarity at face value, and if you make the further assumption, as most skeptics do, that if anything existed that was non-physical or spiritual, it would be observable and measurable and provable in the physical world, then Kyra's logic is sound and her skepticism is well-founded. Here's what she wrote. Science doesn't create science. It analyzes the world to see how science works. And when we discover something new, the effects of that science are not new. They have been around far before their discovery and continue to exist long after. The only thing that changes is our awareness of how the science works. Is Abraham asking us to believe that things like gravity, evolution, and quantum mechanics didn't exist till we knew what they were? That those like Newton, Einstein, and Darwin were just powerful creators that managed to affect the past and present so powerfully that they made the world in the image that they fancied? Well, of course, you can choose to believe whatever you want to believe. And as always, we say, take what feels good and ignore the rest. You can't get off course if you simply stick to what feels good. But if you are seeking to understand the true nature of who you are and how you create things, we offer you this explanation of the nature of things in order to have you consider that those very belief choices of yours are what creates. And therefore, logically, you can't pull apart what you've created in order to understand what to believe about it. That's a circular journey into complexity and endless questions with no logical answers. From our friend Bentinho Massaro, an individual you perspective from the SAND Conference 2014. Science is just a symbol. Science is nice because it sort of catches up with spirituality and it comes up with these amazing analogies, these amazing visualizations to translate to our brains what has already been timelessly true. We can talk about particles, we can talk about the science of it, and it's magnificent. I love that. However, what it truly means to me, and what's the deepest, most profound state of that abundant knowingness, is unlocking that love, unlocking that inseparability, so that you can gaze upon existence and know that it is yourself. From Abraham, this time very much talking from an individual you perspective, about Esther losing her airport parking ticket and then finding it. All this stuff you see that you think is reality is a perceptual thing as you are translating vibration. You are translating the vibration through your belief system. Suddenly that parking ticket was there. There was no way of logically explaining why it came back into their perception other than you cannot find something that is lost. And the more Esther decided that it was lost, the more stubborn the ticket was in not appearing in her experience. Did it actually dematerialize? Did it actually change its vibrational form and make itself invisible to Esther? Yes, it did. Did it actually rematerialize and make itself available? Yes, it did. We're not kidding you about that. Every manifestation that you witness is a perceptual thing. So when we say to you that you can be or do or have anything, if you would just for a little while let it be between you and your ability to perceive it and not care about involving other people to witness your manifestations, you will discover that the universe has the ability to yield to you anything that you desire. If you can get this business of losing things, then you've truly got it. Because there is no physical reality. It's not like that thing you lost exists somewhere in an ongoing external world. It's your personal virtual reality you're creating moment by moment. So next time you lose something, observe yourself as you try to find it, because you'll not be finding it. You'll be recreating it, or not, by your belief choices. And you can gaze amazing insights from watching yourself, real time, creating reality. The key to understanding who you are and quantum physics law of attraction is to understand the point of origin of everything. We say, go look in a mirror. And as you do, look through that physical image to the essential you. That you is the origin. You created this focused space-time game and chose to be in it, to have new experiences, to give birth to new desires, and to expand into the joy of creating new things. We say, have at it. Have fun with all of this, even as we are having fun dancing this dance with you. There is much love for you here, and we look forward to our longer discussion and your questions.
If you've been live with us on this Hangout, our discussion continues now on our conference line. You're welcome to join us and bring your questions and comments. Use the number on your screen. If you're watching the recorded video, click the pop-up links on your screen for more info about us and the audio of the full call. And if you'd really like to change your life in the next 12 months, we have 2 fantastic programs you can join right now. Check us out at theallowayclub.com/programs.